This one was one of the busier events. There were 50 entries. The crews had to go through heats and semifinals to earn their spot here. In lane 2, we have Alumni Blue. Lane 3, Community Rowing. Lane 4, St. Catharines. Lane 5, Argonauts. Lane 6, another Community Rowing. And in lane 7, Saratoga.
For those of you at home who might be a little confused as to who Alumni Blue might be out of a junior program, it's actually a lot of athletes that race for Upper Canada College out of Toronto, an independent school up there. CRI, as Ali and I were saying earlier, a strong mainstay here at the Canadian Henley in recent years. Of course, the locals, St. Catharines out of lane 4, coached by Brian Fisher. We saw crews coached by Michelle Fisher, his wife, earlier today. The Fisher family mainstays here in St. Catharines give a lot back, have had, family members race as athletes, and Michelle and Brian really do volunteer a lot of their time here at the club.
Yes, they do. Brian's also another former national team athlete. Rode for Canada in the lightweight men's 4 in '83 and the light 8 in '84. So it looks like the starters called them to attention.
You can almost make out the red light coming on. That's what the athletes are watching for. They're watching for the red light to change for green. Then they're going to hear the horn, in theory simultaneously, but we all know light travels a little quicker than sound, so they're trying to jump off when the light turns green, which it just did.
And it looks like it was a clean start.
Mm-hmm. You can see some really distinctive red Hudson shells from St. Catharines and the 2 CRI crews. They really jump out at you on the water.
Yeah, this is an event that CRI has won for the past 4 years. They've certainly had a stranglehold on this event, looking to make it 5 in a row.
That is impressive.
That is. It's a large program. Last year they came up. They had 3 8s in the final of the Junior A men's 8.
I do recall that. We'll see if someone from Argonaut maybe sitting here in lane 5, so doing really well out of their semifinals to progress. 3-seat Quinton Schmidt raced for Canada at the Canamex, kind of our junior development regatta between Canada, America, and Mexico. It was in Mexico City a couple weeks ago. So Quinton will have returned to his club in Toronto at the Argonaut Rowing Club and try to jump back in. Coached by Matt Miller and Bob Blunt. So we'll see if his teammates Alex, Basil, Quinton, as I said, Rowan, and Cox Brianna can really kind of upset CRI and locals St. Catharines. But even Alumni Blue Lane 2 UCC doing really well out of that first 500.
Yeah, that's a tight race coming across the 500, but Alumni Blue has certainly jumped out to an early lead. Coming out of the heat, St. Catharines had the fastest qualifying time of 6:30, followed closely by CRI 6:33, and then Alumni Blue was 6:35.
That'll be. I'm excited to see how this plays out. You do, as you mentioned, have CRI with kind of the stranglehold on this event the last few years, but can never count out St. Catharines, and obviously Alumni Blue, that Toronto program. They're doing a really good job pushing into it this summer.
Yeah, with this tailwind, it'll be interesting to see how it impacts some of the larger boats. We've been looking at the smaller boats come down, and they're certainly going to get blown around a little bit more than some of the big boats. So we'll have to see how these guys handle the conditions and if anyone's made any moves here in the second 500.
Yeah, you can really see CRI there out of lane 6, really leaning into their finish, trying to send the boat, step out, send it away out of their finish, trying to just haul on those oars in the tailwind here, the tail conditions, and try to make sure they stay in this race, as it looks like the bow from St. Catharines Rowing Club over in lane 4, St. Catharines, trying to get themselves out ahead, but Alumni Blue in lane 2 still sticking out ahead, followed by St. Catharines, and then lane 6 in CRI.
Well, St. Catharines are going to try and draw on the experience. They have Evan McRae, Andrew Barry, and Christian McAlpine all won the Junior B 8 last year. Christian and Andrew also won the Cox 4. So there are a lot of athletes with a lot of pedigree, and then they have Johan May in the boat, who's been rowing for St. Catharines for a number of years, and I think he brings a lot of maturity to the boat. The only grade 12 in the boat, the other three athletes were grade 11s this past year. So Johan will certainly be trying to stay calm and not panic, but certainly be ready to make some moves.
You know, I did have the chance to be at the Rowing Canada selection event in London, Ontario in June. Did meet Johan as he was there trying out, and he does seem like a pretty mature athlete. Definitely knows what to do, has been in tons of races, so it's you know, not too surprising to see him kind of leading the rest of this four as they're trying to chase down the Alumni Blue crew out of Toronto sitting in lane 2.
Yeah, head into the 1,500 meter mark. It'll be interesting to get a camera angle where we can get a better read on the course.
I'm going to try and get the stroke rate out of the Alumni Blue crew. They're really just trying to pump it down. Yeah, they're cruising 37.5, 37, really trying to punch it up. And it does look like St. Catharines has overtaken them, so they've kind of split the difference. It was Alumni Blue by half a boat. Now it's St. Catharines, and those two crews are trying to leave the rest of the field behind.
They certainly have separated themselves from the pack, so now it's going to see, did Alumni Blue have to expend more energy in that first half to try and stay ahead of St. Catharines? And is St. Catharines able to take advantage of the slight lead they developed in that third 500?
And that might have been the you know, hometown advantage out of St. Catharines, drawing on that energy with, as you said, some slightly less experience. This is, you know, under 19. These athletes will all be at most 18 years old this year. So they are still in the scope of rowing, pretty young, pretty inexperienced, trying to draw from the crowd a little bit. St. Catharines here at their home course.
Yeah, St. Catharines really handling the conditions well here. The blade work at the catch, very sharp. They're getting on it really quickly with the legs and trying to send that boat as soon as the blades get into the water here.
And as much as I might have said Alumni Blue punching their stroke rate up, I've got St. Catharines at a 39 right now. So you definitely can see some high-level, high pushes out of these athletes.
Yeah, Johan's one of those athletes. He's definitely a student in the sport, and you'd be watching what's been happening at the recent World Cup, seeing crews racing at higher rates of striking than they have in the past.
Yeah, I've got St. Catharines now pushing 41 as they cross the finish line. And they are just thrilled, absolutely elated. Good for those guys.
They were racing in a boat named after Carl McCullough, a longtime St. Catharines volunteer. Last year, that boat was used to win the Junior B Men's Cox 4, and Carl has been helping out with the Junior A Men's program this summer as well.
That is really exciting to see a little bit of continuation from the Junior B program into the Junior A program here in St. Catharines. I know that I think is a little typical of the club here. You get a lot of returning athletes. But nice to see a little bit of a shake-up, perhaps. CRI having their stranglehold on this event broken a little bit. Certainly still a really competitive program here, finishing 2 crews in this final. Unofficial times on your screen. St. Catharines coming in 6:13, almost 6:14, followed by Alumni Blue, Saratoga, and then CRI Argonaut and CRI B.
I mean, for CRI to be able to win an event here 4 years in a row is quite impressive. So well done to them for continuing to put together a strong program year after year.
Coming up next.